Hello there, hello. Welcome to a commentated run of Deltarune Chapter 3, All Bosses. My name is Rouxls. I'm a Deltarune moderator. I've been running the game since around when Chapter 2 first released back in 2021. I have also done commentary several times for this game before, most notably at the Trans Day of Visibility Chapter 2 All Bosses run, and most recently at the I did commentary on the All Chapters All Bosses Glitchless run at SGDQ 2025. So, I would like to show off what I think is probably my favorite Chapter 3 category, All Bosses. So, timing starts when I hit yes here. So, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so for some quick information about this specific category, as the name implies, this is all bosses, which is pretty self-explanatory. You have to beat all the bosses. In this case, specifically, the bosses that are required would be the Shadow Mantle, Tenna, and the Knight. Now, what makes this category interesting is the Shadow Mantle part, as we have to go on a whole side quest to do that fight, and which also requires getting an S rank on all of the boards you have to do at the start of this chapter. So, sitting here in bed, on the couch. Once again, also, I am playing in Japanese because that saves about 10 seconds, I believe. I do not remember the specific number. So, interact with the bed here, only possible on New Game Plus, to skip through this little intro section, which is just a bunch of cutscenes. And it'll just take us directly to the first board. The first board is relatively simple. We have to collect 3 keys to unlock a door to then play this board's physical challenge. So first we're just going to head directly down here. We're going to interact with this oasis a few times. Funnily enough, if you interact with this, double the BPM of the Lava Chicken song from the Minecraft movie, it goes faster. So here in this fight, we're going to defend twice and then use our action to save a few seconds from having to do, say, I Love TV ourselves. And from here, I'd like to explain a bit about the battle mechanic. So, Deltarune is very similar to the game. It's a follow-up to Undertale, you know, bullet hell, dodging attacks. However, here you can see a little outline around the soul. This is called the Graze box. And if you get a closer attack, you graze to gain TP. But also, little hidden mechanic is that every time you graze, attacks get shorter. And while it's only a few frames per attack, it does add up over the course of the run. Right there, that choice right there, we're just selecting which one of these weather duo we thought was better. Really, it actually does not matter who you choose at all, so it just determines really just the appearance of these attacks. So in these 2 fights as well, we also want to play well. We want to try not to get hit. We want to graze a lot. And obviously, we can't really end the fight any faster because it's pretty scripted. But doing this will get us extra points, which influence our rank at the end of this board. So, the minimum amount of points we need is 530. That is the minimum we need to get an S rank. But really, there are other safety ways we can help to guarantee this. But as you can see, I am also mashing C here. For whatever reason, when mashing C during these cutscenes, certain things just move a little faster than if you're just holding down C or Control for the wrist protector, which speeds up text automatically, as you can see here just right now. As you can see, because I was mashing C, Tenna there just snapped to the ground. Is here. Alright, got a good number of points. Should be fine. Here we're going to encounter the Shadow guy required. To defend, use S action, and then pacify with a Rouxls Fight. Graze as well as we can. Yeah, although I have hit the minimum amount of points required to get an S rank, for safety I am also going to do something extra as well. But here we're just going to progress like normal, grab Lancer there, take him over here. Dig up the first out of 3 keys. There we go here. Just some normal progression. Here, and then we're going to take this quiz. Normally you don't have to do this, however, this just gives you extra points, which means a better rank, which means it's easier to get an S rank. So this is just a good safety. Okay, the answers there are third choice, second choice, first choice. You see, that gives us an extra 300 points. Really helpful. Yeah, the first bit of Chapter 3 here takes place on these boards, which basically just play out like Zelda games, essentially. Go around, you have to complete a bunch of objectives, and then you play a minigame at the end. Okay, we got our second key there from under that cactus, and now we're going to enter this shop here, and we're going to buy the third key. There are actually 4, technically 5 keys available, however, 2 of those keys take a really, really long time to get. So we grabbed those 3 keys since they're the easiest to find. Right here, interact with this door. Selecting the right option here, which is technically the no option, is actually faster for some reason. Coming up here on our first physical challenge, cooking. Cooking is probably one of the hardest parts of the run, which sucks because it's right at the start. But essentially, there is a bar in the background on that screen, and we want to get that bar to fill up entirely. See, it's going down. There are 2 layers to this bar. We want it to get it to fill up entirely, which will end the minigame early and give you an automatic T rank, the highest possible rank you can get. So to do that, we want to collect food. See those special guests at the bottom there? They give you a ton of extra points if you hit them, so... Hit that. Extra points. Jump to collect the food to get points as well. This helps keep the popularity bar up. Second special guest. That. Get that popularity bar up, so now we want to avoid that fire. We don't want to drop the food. And ooh, that was close. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Ah, that sucks. It's fine. Maybe I can back this up? Let's see. Yes, okay. As you can see, I finished that early there. And S rank. I want to get an S rank there because this is required to progress on the board. I do have a, if I was not able to get an S rank there, I do have a backup save prepared. That takes place right after board 1 with an S rank. But an S rank there will unlock the hidden S rank room, which is what allows us to progress in our quest to beat the Shadow Mantle. Got some cutscenes here. Word. Here, we're going to talk to Ram right here, pick up the pink ribbon. This item I get for safety for the night fight at the end of the run. Go here and enter the S rank room. Talk to this Zapper. Here, and then for some reason, if you talk to Ram right here from the left, he'll only slide 1 time as opposed to if you talk to him from any other direction, which he will slide twice. Not sure, but... Not sure why, but... Go here, interact with the hidden game. Here it doesn't work because we don't have a controller, so here, pick up the odd controller. This is what is referred to as the original game before Tenna modified it for his show. So the map you'll see will look pretty familiar, as we literally just went through it. Maybe you see all these various monsters around here. As you can see, these monsters cannot hurt us yet, so we can just walk directly through them. I want to make our way down here to the south, to this staircase. I want to pick up this sword. So yeah, our goal here is to, well, kill some monsters, become stronger. So, take a route to do this as fast as possible. So here, kill these two guys. Kill this guy to gain level 2 so we can kill this guy. Okay. Hitboxes with the sword can be a little funky sometimes, but kill these two, go up here. Kill these two, go back down to the right. Kill this fish. Go up. Here, kill this guy. Kill these suspicious flowy looking flowers. These enemy moves are random, so sometimes they can get into bad positions where you have to like spend a bit extra killing them. See here if this guy's walking towards me or not. Chooses to walk away, of course. Waste a bit of extra time. Here, kill this guy. Kill this fish. Kill this guy. Here, to the right, we need to get level 3 so we can get these cactuses. And put it through here. As you can see, this is where the Zelda inspiration is very apparent. I'll walk by these guys at first. Here, these cactuses. These guys. Here. This guy, of course, chooses to walk away from me. This guy. And then on the way back, these 3. Go out here. This line of trees. Then we're going to screen transition a few times so we can spawn this chest. This chest spawn location is random by like a range of a few tiles. Did not really get a good spawn there, but we have obtained the ice key. And now here, I'm going to try to perform a wrong warp out of the room. Wrong warps are not super prevalent in this category, but there are a few. See there, wrong warping. To explain it simply, every room has a default point, and occasionally when you are like enter rooms through means that aren't normal screen transitions or in other special cases, you are given what we like to call wrong warp state. While in this state, if you enter a screen transition while holding the run button and the menu button, and enter screen transition and on the very next frame leave the screen transition, you will perform what we call a wrong warp, where you teleport to the room's default point. Wrong warps are way more prevalent in other chapters, in both Chapter 2 and Chapter 4, but there are a few in Chapter 3 that save a bit of time, most of which are in this category. Here we're going to start on board 2. Board 2 is very simple. Right here, pick up this camera. Left, ignore this enemy. Don't need to fight them. Picture this guy. We need to grab 3 great photos. So we're gonna go there, take a picture of that cactus to grab the first one. Then we're gonna head over here to the right, up on this boat. Take a picture to get rid of that. And just, you know, wait on Susie to solve these puzzles for us. Board 3 is a very chill board, which is good as we comparing to how stressful the first board can get. Getting S rank here is actually very easy. Here, she's gonna go and switch up the controller, so we are now playing as her. Solve this puzzle like this. Wait for Susie to enter there as Chris. Pick up the I forgot specifically what it's called, but deodorant here. And that's actually 0.5 seconds faster than picking up the ribbon. So here's these Pippin's encounters, spare, S action R, R action S action R action. To spare one immediately. Yeah, we actually don't need to worry too much about points on this board for ranking, because like I said, getting an S rank on this board is actually way easier than the first board, funnily enough. And that's mostly just due to the choice of minigame at the end. And also because we have extra access to easier bonuses. We'll pick the right option here. This will basically let us play as Chris again. Right here, take a picture of this half flower. Head to the north here. Enter on this top tile because that puts Susie closer to these boards. Some little micro optimizations. And here. Step on this button to spawn a bunch of bombs. Anyway, we're going to enter in this room where a bit of RNG comes into play. We want to take a picture of a red anteater, I'm pretty sure what they're called. They have a 1 in 4 chance to spawn, as you can see. Missed it on the first cycle. And got at the end of the second cycle, yeah. Each one of those has a 1 in 4 chance to be the red one, so a little RNG can come into play. You're going to hear, we're going to eat the moss on the wall. Not only is this really funny, it also gives us a bonus at the end of the board, which makes getting an S rank easier. And here now we have all 3 photos. Head over to the right to get a new boat. Here we're going to enter in this cave. Here we're going to pick up the other of the weather dew that we did not pick at the beginning. Hang on here, wait for this door to close. And then we're going to take a picture of the entire body. As you can see, the picture hitboxes are weird because Chris was very clearly not in that photo, but it still counted. And now in this fight, instead of interacting with the fight, we're just going to spare with everybody, because that is actually faster than playing the fight as intended. So, doing this fight normally involves taking a lot of pictures of the enemy itself and other various things that actually don't really give too much spare compared to just sparing with everyone on every turn to get a bit of mercy. Yeah, interacting with things can be a little weird when you have the camera. Right here, we're going to go up to Lover's Peak to reunite these 2 lovers. Whoa, rules card is here. Wait a second. Whoa, he's bisexual. I didn't know that. So yeah, we met the conditions, and now get over here to Atlantis. So we can begin my favorite of the 2 mini-games, Lightners Live. Holding down X, holding down any of the menu buttons and control button here actually makes these rise up faster. I think is pretty funny. Which is a rhythm game, which is a lot easier to get a high rank on compared to cooking. Another one of the reasons why board 2 is way easier to get an S rank on compared to the first board. A fun little section here. It'll be a little hard to see because I'm playing in Japanese, but Rouxls will be changing the inappropriate lyrics in real time. Full combo. go. Easy T rank. Easy full combo for an easy T rank. Easy because of the moss there. We boost our rank up to an S rank. Without that moss, we would have gotten an A rank. This is why we choose to eat it in this category. Alright. Now we have time to start on the Sword 2 hour first. After the vending machine. Buy some armor there for later for safety against the fight against the knight at the end. Then we're gonna go back to the S rank room. Now, I don't need to actually talk to Ram from the left here, because now he'll just move once regardless. Alright, we can go over here and begin Sword 2. Now, just to explain why I picked up those ones, not only are they just armor to get some extra defense, they also increase the amount of TP you gain, which is useful when to offset, in the night fight, to offset the 20% TP loss incurred by equipping the pink ribbon. So it's useful to have those to help make grazing easier. So, go here, kill these two guys. Kill this guy. These guys can choose to jump, which can be a little inconvenient depending on when they do it. Now to kill those, we're going to go down here. Kill this fish, and then... Okay, kill this fish near the top so I can just backtrack. Normally, if that fish moved down further, it'd be easier to to go down there and enter a cave to sort of warp back up here. Go kill that fish, kill this fish. Jump off. Kill Flowey. And then... need to get level 2 for those bushes so we can then enter this waterfall. And go over here to this secret area. And we're just doing a bit of sailing here. Nothing much happens for the next little bit. And here we want to move to move our left 2 screens. Line ourselves up with this little block right here so we can end up directly on the shore. Head over to the right here so we can now use the ice key so we can enter the ice palace. The second part of Sword 2. As you can see, the Zelda inspirations are very clear here. Here, the Hi Birdly. Walk past these guys because we cannot beat them yet. Here. Now this is where their jumping patterns can get really inconvenient depending on where they like to jump. I got a good pattern there, but... Let's see. Alright, this guy. Talking about like following the white mage or something. I think that's what that says. Enter here. For these 4 guys. These 4 Asgores. Because each of these characters are meant to represent an particular area. Over here, we're going to talk about Forbidden Path beginning with ice magic. I wonder what that could mean. Here. Enter, exit this room immediately. And now we have Noelle with us. I'm going to snowgrave some enemies here. To solve some puzzles. Yeah, basically this entire section is essentially just a light tutorial on this game's weird route, which I think is a really cool way to sort of naturally push the player towards this route, which is otherwise really hard to find on your own. Enter here. Don't need to kill any of these enemies. No, since we're max level already. Freeze. I need to freeze that second guy, but he was closing in on me. So, over here. Snow games! And now we're gonna take this whole path. Gotta go up. Up. Left. Right. Right. Down. Right. Little maze there. Reference to a puzzle in Link's Awakening at the end of that game. Go up here. Use the ice key to open this door. And also use up Noelle as well. Okay, here. Screen transition twice to activate this cutscene. Screen transition twice again. So we can then interact with this to pick up the shelter key. Ooh, spooky. And now we're used up. Once again, once we exit out of this, we have wrong warp state again. So I'm going to try and wrong warp out of this room again. Alright, got 2 of them. Alright, now that we're back, go over here, talk to this zapper. It's going to teleport us into the bottom room, which is actually a good thing because we want to interact with this vending machine. And buy the 3 weapons for this chapter there. For later. We're gonna go up here and interact with the zapper again. He's gonna leave. And now, enter in this side area, which gives off really big one-shot vibes. So 2, 1, 3. We know these codes ahead of time, so we don't actually need to play little mini games on the TV there to figure them out. Let's select the top option here to skip a cutscene, where we ask either one of the characters how they're doing. That's slow. We don't care about character development. We're speedrunners. We're going to enter the code here of 1225. A December holiday, if you will. After that, we're going to enter over here and enter probably the little, like slow section of the run, because this next upcoming section is basically kind of just an auto-scroller. As Tenna has his large crash out. Yeah, Tenna's mad because we don't want to play this game anymore, so I guess because of that, he's just going to force us to sit through an auto-scroller. Now there is a bit of RNG here with these quizzes that he forces you to do, because Rouxls, unlike, instead of just selecting the answer you want, Rouxls just does whatever he wants. So, obviously we want him to select answers that are close to our selection, but Rouxls can choose any of the 4 options. And obviously, the further away from one that option is, the more time you lose. You say I love TV there to just end that fight immediately. We play a little auto-scroller. Once again, another auto-scroller minigame, which you have to dodge the fire, but, like, really, like, you don't actually have to. It just damages you a bit. Not a huge deal. I kind of just like to mess around during this. You know, give myself something to do while we wait on that timer in the background to go down. quiz here. Let's see what Rouxls Fight. You select the second option last time. Let's see here. Alright, selected the first option. Nice. On this fight, we'll select the bottom option. We want to shoot Tenna. Not only does this, you know, in the fight right here, it also stops us from fighting an extra encounter a bit later. Once again, there's a little much we can do here. I just like to tap that one note. A little Spamton reference here. Now we have our final quiz here. Let's see what Rouxls Fight picks this time. Alright. 2-1-3. You know, honestly, not terrible, I guess. Kind of average. Now for this final encounter, we want to grace to max TP in one turn here with this Zapper by doing Volume Up, which increases TP gain. Alright. Messing that up is what we like to call getting 99 Zappered. We might have to manually mash through that text there for some reason. Now here we have a wrong warp coming up that is, funnily enough, in other categories, the only wrong warp in the entire run. Obviously, in all bosses, it's not, because you have wrong warps out of the sword room. But they call this wrong warp the wrong warp that makes you old. It's a long story. You know, it takes you to the other side of the room, so... Here in TV World, the game picks up a lot. This is honestly my favorite section of the entire chapter. It's very energetic. Here, the first few shadow guys in this shooting segment come out of the same spot, so... But otherwise, the section is entirely time-based. Once you beat the first shadow guy, it's just a timer until the end, so... I kinda just like to try and see how many I can beat. Here we have a little quiz here. The answers here are BA. Always the same. So I don't even need to read these quizzes to know what the answers are. It's always the same. Alright. Coming up in the next room, we have a kind of annoying encounter skip. There's going to be a bunch of shadow guys falling from the ceiling, and the locations they spawn in are random, so it's you kind of just have to react and avoid them. That counted? That's... That barely hit me. That's a little annoying, but... That's just how this encounter can be sometimes. Sometimes you just get a bad pattern. Here. Now there is a little skip you can do here to sort of skip this entire section right here. However, it's a frame perfect trick that is kind of hard to do, so I choose not to do it. Here then, skip this Rubik by leaving it to get caught on this trash can and walking around it. Over here, dodge these lights. Don't enter this room right here unless you really want to fight Water Cooler. Horse segment here where we shoot at some shadow guys. This one is fully auto-timed. You'll need to beat the first one to start a timer or anything like the last one. Susie, the horse is here. Take this top room, because not only is taking this path a little faster because of the stealth segments, but get a free healing item there. A pretty good healing item as well. So that one takes barely any time to grab, and I have to grab it for safety against the knight. Yeah, a little cutscene here of Tenna getting mad that all of his employees are leaving him. Here we have the path of quizzes. However, these quizzes have random answers, so we want to avoid them. So, take the bottom path, and take this top path, and take the top path again. And that gets us to the end of the room without having to deal with the random quizzes. A little fun spotlight segment here. I like all the enemies joining in on you as you pass through each of the barriers. Here, and interact with the save point to heal. As we have the a boss fight against Rouxls Card coming up. And this fight can be a little annoying, especially near the end. However, the fight has a gimmick to it. First, gotta walk by him because he doesn't want to fight us right now. But now he does because he no longer got the benefits he wanted from his relationship. So, gonna force us to act with a Rouxls card. So, first two turns we kind of just can't do anything except dance along. But pretty soon we're gonna get Lancer over here to join us, and now we can Lancer to recruit the enemies to our side. Basically means winning this little roulette game here. And we need to get to 100%, which means on 2 turns, out of the 6 Lancer icons, we only need to grab 5 of them. That's just the one that grabbed the 5th one. I just mashed there to automatically end the turn, sort of. Get to 100%. Now here against the second group, we want to get hit twice, because you can see that put Rouxls in a giant yarn ball, and because of that, Rouxls just immediately fires these guys, so we don't actually have to spare them at all. So it skips directly to the third set, the Weather Duo again. For 4 of these, 3, 4. This is where this fight can get a little annoying. Yeah, that last one is really hard to get, especially if it spawns 2 slots away from you. It's the most annoying part of this fight. Have a little fun bit here where Rouxls tries to get them to attack us, but they just can't aim. So I have a laser pointer. Gotta grab 2 more. And that's the Rouxls fight. This fight can be definitely very frustrating. However, it's also just overall kind of a pretty entertaining fight. It has some of the funniest gags in the chapter. Over here. Now I just have a short trek back to the green room so we can start the Sword 3 and get to fighting the Mantle. John Mantle, if you will, or Jane, depending on what you prefer. Eram, Nightmare, fight of many names. Interact with these piles of Azrael's dust here for these cutscenes. We're now back in the south rooming the green room. Back to this main area now for safety. I'm going to go over here to this vending machine and buy some healing items for the night just in case. You never know. But other than that, I'm going to go back over to the S rank room. And go back and do Sword 3. See, Ram here is now partially turned to stone. And dies off screen, I think. Now, a fun fact about this board. Playing this board, this seems like an entirely new area, and for all intents and purposes, it is. We've never seen this board before. However, this is actually based on the scrapped third board that was cut for pacing reasons. So really, like, without using cheats, this is really only a way to actually see the third board in the game. However, using stuff like debug mode, you can actually access what is finished of it in the game, which is actually quite a bit. You can play through almost the entirety of the third board unimpeded using debug mode. Which I think is cool that they left that in for us. Over here in this little alleyway, which to anyone who's played the weird route looks scarily familiar. We entered this little mini dungeon here, which is probably one of the harder parts of this category. Especially if you're doing it fast. I'm gonna get over here. These guys can jump, so depending on their patterns, things can get a little annoying. Alright, right here, these 2 flowers. And then... Now, if you kill all 7 of these flowers, it frees this guy. 7 flowers and the enemy that's going to represent Asgore. I wonder what this means. However, it is faster to just kind of, like, tank damage and attack him from there. Okay. Can you, like, get into a good position? Okay. And here, up the bottom. Okay, that was... I just got really bad positioning there. So play a little careful now so I don't die. Little classic Zelda puzzle right here. Fun fact, this little figure we're controlling right now is referred to as a deer in the file, which is very interesting for all the lore heads out there. Kill these guys. Go over here. And then, you know, just make my way through piles of Azrael's dust over here. And now that we've reached max level, we can go and enter this room on the right over here. where this line of trees was blocking our way before. Now, we're gonna just have some cutscenes with Tenna up here. I would like to take this time to try and quickly explain the fight against the Mantle, because it's kind of hard to explain in real time, but normally the Mantle's patterns are random. However, the first time you enter the fight, it has a sort of set pattern for the first few phases. So we try to take advantage of that. Like, we'll know where it'll land in certain parts and what attacks it'll do. However, when you die, once you die once, the attacks become random. However, in return, the little friend minions it'll spawn start to drop healing, which means we have to do, if we want to win first try, we have to do it without healing at all, which can be very tricky. Over here and enter the shelter. So, despite technically not being the harder of the two fights, I find Mantle to be like, first, from a speedrun perspective, the hardest fight in this category. So let's see how I do. Always do this attack first. Now we'll do this one. Start with this. Here, and it'll teleport to right here. Alright. Whew. Got that first try. That's good. This fight is really hard and is the place where most runs die. You can only get hit, I think, 7 times? 7 or 8 times, I think? And so if you want to do it first try, you have to do it without healing. Over here, walk off the screen. And now we're going to go to this chest so we can pick up the Shadow Mantle. Like this left option there. Don't want to hold left there, else the mini Chris will walk back on the screen and try to attack you. Then we're going to try and wrong warp out of the room again. Alright. Alright. Actually got the full chain there. So, after this little cutscene, we're going to go and start equipping some things. Weapons. So how I set up my equipment there basically means that the Shadow Mantle is on Susie, along with a Lodestone, 2 Lodestones on Rouxls, and then a Lodestone and the Pink Ribbon on Chris. Take a heal here and start the Tenna fight. Cutscene here. Tenna's gonna trauma dump his backstory to us. Now, how we handle the Tenna fight is that whenever you finish the sword route, as the game calls it, Chris gets an insane damage buff against Tenna. It's actually crazy, so it ends up becoming a little faster to actually end the fight through violence rather than sparing. Start the Tenna fight. As you can see, Chris is doing way more damage than they normally would be doing here. As you can see, this is the effect of the pink ribbon here. It increases the Graze box, however, it's supposed to, in return, decrease the amount of TP you gain by 20%, however, that is currently being offset by the 4 lodestones. So we have normal TP gain currently. Now, I don't know how you're supposed to normally do this fight. You're supposed to sort of, using various minigames and other acts, get to 1,000 points. However, Tenna also just goes directly into his final attack once he reaches below 20% HP. So you got a minigame here, you kind of have to wait these out. Random assortment of minigames here. Sort of WarioWare style minigame rush. And now we have a little final segment here. We gotta shoot at Tenna. Relatively simple in all bosses compared to other categories, which is really heavily reliant on grazing and making sure certain characters stay up. However, Tenna was simply just the appetizer, as the real boss star of this category is coming up very shortly. So I can allow myself to have a bit of time to focus during the fight itself. The Knight is normally a fight that you are not supposed to win. If you do not have the Shadow Mantle, the Knight does insane amounts of damage, and your first time playing through the chapter, if you die to the Knight, you don't even get a chance to retry. It just moves on immediately. So now that we have the Shadow Mantle, whoever has it equipped will now take reasonable damage against the Knight, alongside having some target priority as well to absorb damage from other characters. Alright, so, and our goal tonight, we want to deal a certain amount of damage. I don't remember the specific number, but I think it's like 1,400 something. And to achieve that, we're going to basically attempt to Brood Buster every single turn. So, on most turns, we are going to be doing a defend, Brood Buster, defend. However, to help save a turn and to avoid possibly the hardest turn in the fight, I also want to do at least 2 fights as well with Chris and Rouxls. So go over there to heal. Basically, just the fight, we want to do a hold breath fight on the first turn, so we can gain increased movement speed with Soul to help make the dodging attacks easier. And then at one other point, we are also going to want to do a fight rude fight. This helps avoid possibly the hardest turn in the fight, where the box gets split diagonally, which is an attack that is really hard to avoid. So definitely do not want to see that attack. Other than that, it's simply just a matter of not getting hit and grazing well. So I think this is probably, like, for me personally, it's my second favorite fight in the game, with my first favorite being the Jebel fight in Chapter 1. But this fight is still really, really fun and really cool. So let's see if I can get it. take that dodge a little too short. Correct, I should have hit the damage threshold, so instead of attacking this next turn, I can just defend with all three characters. And, yep, third set of slashes. Attack will start automatically once you've dealt a certain number of damage with it. And after this attack, really good, start charging up its ultimate attack. Suspiciously like the Hyper Goner attack from the Asriel fight in Undertale. So there's any sort of intentional parallelism going on here. And now that we've finished this fight, just gotta attack once and the fight ends. And, you know, it's just an easy fight. Wait. Looking at my... No, there's no way. I'm going to tie my PB. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, as you can see, as we beat the knight here... Yeah, as soon as he gets a little cocky, then... Well... You know what they say, pride come before the fall. And from here, it's just simply just some cutscenes to the end. So... God, this would have PB'd if I didn't miss that encounter skip in TV World. That's actually crazy to think about. Kidnap Undyne. So we have to make chase. And, you know, we're just going to ignore the Shadow Crystal Blackshot here because we don't need it anymore. We aren't going into Chapter 4. Why waste the time to pick it up? Have some cutscenes here left for the rest of the run. But yeah, overall, that is Chapter 3 all bosses. Once again, like I said, my favorite Chapter 3 category. You know, because you get to do some really cool fights. I really enjoy the night fight a lot. I think it's an amazing showcase. Yeah, it's a category that isn't too long. Yeah, I think it showcases some of the hardest fights in the game. And the sword sections as well are really cool. It's kind of nice having have a little gameplay switch up there where you sort of start playing a Zelda game there for a bit. I think it's overall just the best showcase of this chapter as a whole, because you basically do almost everything there. So yeah, time will be coming up here once the screen cuts to black in just a moment. And time. That was so close to being a PB. That's crazy. But yeah, that was Deltarune Chapter 3 All Bosses.